You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold. Today we welcome in Adam Reiman, Director of Coaching and Live Events at lawyer.com. That's right, I said it, lawyer.com. Adam, thanks for being with us.
I'm really excited. Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. We thought this episode would be of a lot of interest to our Lawyer Stories community, so it's really cool to have you here. I guess like the first question to come up is like, how the heck do you get a domain like lawyer.com? That's incredible.
I know, right? I'll tell you the story. Jerry, who is our CEO and founder of the company, Gorman, who is just light years ahead of most of us as far as the technology world goes. He's just brilliant. He seems to be a step ahead. He actually acquired the domain back in 1998. And we have held on to it tight as we can. It's been amazing for us. You'd be just blown away by the volume of traffic that we get every single day, not only from lawyers, but from consumers also every single day. We get over a million, I believe our call center said we get over 1 million consumer calls annually.
Really? You have a call center, you said?
We do, yeah. We offer a service called Lawyer Line, which does intake for law firms. And we receive the vast volume of consumer calls every single month and over 1 million a year.
That's unbelievable. So when you get a domain like lawyer.com, which is like incredible.
Yeah.
Does it evolve, or like did they start doing that right in 1998 when you obtained it?
Good question. So when it first started, it was a directory. And it didn't offer the white glove treatment that we offer today.
Okay.
And it was relatively small. Our directory now is over 2 million.
Wow.
So it has grown and blossomed. Yes, it's
Wow.
grown and blossomed with our company. So.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, and that's cool. You know a lot of facts about this, and you started in 5 months ago, right? This position, and so I wanted to congratulate you on your new job. That's super cool. I know you have a really cool background. With the Rainmaker Institute, and you have a really good, solid background, and they brought you into lawyer.com. Like, what do you think? So tell us about like your main role there.
Yeah, so it's amazing how life works sometimes. I started in the legal industry a little bit more than 10 years ago. I met the owner of the Rainmaker Institute. As fate would have it, I was a national sales director for a large office supply company.
Okay.
And I connected with the owner of the CEO and founder of Rainmaker, connected with me on LinkedIn. He said, "Hey, you've got an interesting background. I see you're married to a lawyer. You've called on a lot of law firms. Let's have breakfast." So I met him for breakfast on a Sunday morning, just as a goof. I was happy where I was, and we just instantly connected. He was starting this company. When I started at that company at Rainmaker, there were 12 employees, and tragically he left the earth in 2020.
Oh.
Yeah, he had cancer and passed away. But from 2013 to 2018, we doubled that organization. And when I left, there were over 80, almost 90 employees. So it was a fun ride. Yeah, it was a fun ride.
So basically, Adam Reiman's a guy who knows what he's doing in the sales and marketing space. That's super cool.
Maybe I appreciate that. You're going to make me blush, but
I mean, it's cool to be in an industry, with something attached like a lawyer.com, and we're really interested to hear more about it. So, like, tell us more about like your role, like the live events and the director of coaching.
Yeah. So in my former position at Rainmaker, we did a couple of things that actually set me up for where I am today. And one of the things I did was I did a lot of on-site consulting along with Stephen Fairley. We would go on site into a law firm for 3 or 4 days. We would break down the staff interview sales, marketing, operations. And then we would come back 3 or 4 weeks later with a big old fat report to help them make those 1 to 2 millimeter tweaks that these firms needed to make. And so I actually got to work in hundreds of law firms in my career there. And then I also coach hundreds of firms and intake people on the best practices in intake and lead conversion. So I sort of fancy myself an expert in that department. But as far as live events go, we did 12 marketing boot camps a year. So it was 1 a month, 2-day boot camps. And I had met Colleen, who's the president of lawyer.com. She came to several of our events, and we struck up a working relationship. And when things at Rainmaker came down, she reached out and said, hey, let's start a coaching and live event business here, because we want to be a full service agency. Yep. And that's where we are today. And it's been a great ride. It's been so much fun.
That's amazing. So just I think you said 5 months, or I read 5 months you've been there. So like, what have you been able to, I don't want to say accomplish, but because it takes a long time to roll, but like accomplish or like set up to do in terms of those events? Are you able to make the like bridge what you were doing before and bring those things over? Yes. It sounds like a business model. I mean, you go in there, you sort of consult, you give them a report.
Yeah. So it was something that I've learned in this industry is that there are several legal agencies and organizations that are selling services to law firms over the phone.
Okay.
With various levels of success, right? Okay. I always found that the best way to teach people or educate them on what's going on, especially in the digital marketing space in legal, is to lock them down for 2 days, feed them great food, put them at a wonderful destination, Las Vegas, Miami, Chicago. We do them in great venues. You lock them down for 2 days. They can work on their business and not in their business during those 2 days. And for those 2 days, you say, hey, your baby's ugly. We can help you fix it.
Right. I like that.
And these are the different, and so it's all about education in our 2-day events. It's all about, hey, these are the latest and greatest trends in law firm marketing. These are the flaws that we find in your system. These are the intake changes that you can make to instantly make a difference in your firm. And it's repeatable. I can tell you the times how many law firms we've helped double in revenue simply by making these little tweaks. But you really have to get the attorney out of their home office, out of their domain, to really get them to start thinking about their business. And that's just, to me, that's been sort of the magic recipe. Now that's
interesting. No, I think you just hit on something that's like really interesting. You said work on your business, not in your business, and you get people out of their home office to sort of think about it so they're not in their own space. And I think that's like a real huge psychological thing that you hit on, to make people like reflect upon what they're doing. So I think that's
for sure.
I think that's like a super smart like sales.
Yeah, it's a no sell zone. But look, we know it breaks. You're going to run out in the hallway and call your office. We get that. We know that there are pressing legal issues you probably have on your mind when you come to our events. But I can tell you, we lock them down. We keep it all about them. They get to meet great people. They get to find, new networking and referral opportunities in these events. And it's the most fun you can have. So literally it's the most fun you can have.
So is lawyer.com going to be having these events, or maybe having like a table at these events? Or you probably have the event, right?
I'm a lawyer.com employee.
Right. So are you planning these events?
Yes, I handle all the logistics, locations, ticket sales. We have an amazing marketing team who's created some wonderful landing pages, and we've got our own website.
Okay.
It's all powered by lawyer.com. And our whole staff they're all employed by lawyer.com. These are our events exclusively. Yeah. So, we don't have sponsors or anything like that.
So tell me, like, when you go into a law firm, like, what's the most common thing you find in a law firm that helps them sort of double their revenue, like you were saying? Is it similar, or is it a different issue for each firm, would you say?
It's all over the board. I find they, for example, if you most law firm owners, if you tell them, hey, your conversion's 10%, you're converting 10% of all of your leads, they say, cool, I'll just buy more leads, right? That's illogical thinking.
Okay.
Right? To me, it's like, why would you double your spend to double your conversion? Instead, let's take a look at the leads that you've got right in front of you. Every lead should be treated like a Fabergé egg, delicately, right? So why not just convert more of the leads you're already paying for?
Yeah.
Into signed clients for your firm. And it's
Right.
usually in that arena where we find the most fundamental problems.
And you do a lot with in, like you just said, lead conversion and intake. Tell us about the intake and lead conversion. I mean, to us, to people who aren't really like, maybe we're not maybe attorneys don't always take the phone call. Maybe they're paralegal or secretary, or I'm sorry, not secretary, their administrative assistant takes the call and there's a lead. So tell us about like the lead and the conversion. How important?
Yeah, so here's what I have found in my years. In a law firm, there are three things going on. There is what the attorney believes is going on. There's what a staff tells him or her is going on. And the third thing is what's actually going on. I have secret shopped over 2,500. I've secret shopped over 2,500 law firms, and I have heard virtually everything. The average law firm scores. I have an amazing secret shopper report card that I've created. It's just a very simple 100-point system.
There's and this is you calling up and saying, "Hey, like I broke my leg in an accident."
Exactly.
Okay.
So I've done it over 2,500, just 2,500 law firms and growing. I do it all the time. And what I find fundamentally across the board, the best of the best in legal are converting, in business to consumer, in B2C, are converting about 38 to 42% of all of their leads.
Wow.
That's it.
They're the best. Isn't that a lot? 38.
They're the best of the best. They're the best of the best.
Sounds like a lot.
The overwhelming majority of law firms on a 100-point scale that I have secret shop will score at a 30 or lower on a 10-point scale. I have heard the most frightening, real, legit. I've listened into some of the most frightening calls you could imagine. I've heard severed limb cases where the intake person didn't even offer the person any sort of sympathy, say they're sorry.
Yeah.
Literally just robotic. Just was it the left arm or the right arm?
Oh,
right?
Yeah. I could see that. I mean, I could see that happening. Yes.
Yeah.
Especially if somebody gets so used to their job that it's a mundane thing, but like the person calling in, they're calling you at the most vulnerable time in their life.
Worst time.
They need some sympathy, man. Like they need some empathy. You know what I mean?
100%. Listen, a lot of people, especially in some practice areas, they've waited a very, very long time to finally say, I can't take it anymore. I've got to take the next step. That's to pick up a phone and call a lawyer. It's the worst moment in some people's lives.
Of course.
Right? And so they're not calling because they just they like calling lawyers. They're calling because they have a problem. And we're in a problem-solving business. And lawyers do in a horrifically poor job on the front end. Their director of first impressions typically doesn't offer them just basic human feeling on an intake call.
And what's interesting, when you said the 38 to 40%, I was thinking, okay, well, maybe the person, the administrative assistant, the paralegal, the person answering the phone, the solo practitioner didn't think they had a case. But that's not even it at all. They had like lost their arm.
Right. You're exactly right. And the worst of the worst are solos, litigators, and people that run referral-based law firms. They are typically they typically are the worst. If you think about a litigator, they could be tied up for 6 weeks. I worked in a firm. I was hired by a firm as a consultant, but once in another state, a large personal injury firm. They had their paralegals doing intake, right? Their paralegals, after a lot of analysis and looking at phone reports and listening to reporting, their paralegals disliked the intake process. Literally, when they heard the phone ring, they would dive under their desk to avoid taking those calls.
No.
But in this particular firm, they had 6 months worth of voicemails from potential new clients. Some of them had called 2 and 3 times.
And you're saying this is a solo practitioner?
No, this was a big firm that they had six paralegals doing intake.
That's crazy.
Now, that was a fundamental flaw in their system. Paralegals who are amazing people and do amazing work. They view new clients as more work, right? Mm-hmm. The only one who benefits from it is the owner of the firm, the lawyer who brought it in, et cetera, right?
Right.
So the best model you can have, Benny, is if you're getting about anywhere from 30 to 50 new leads per month coming into your firm, you need to have a dedicated intake specialist. And the only thing that person does is intake and follow-up.
Love it.
30 to 50 leads, and they will pay for themselves in spades.
What do you think about people who, like, there's a lot of different businesses out there that have like overseas workers, like who can just do that particular job. Do you think that's a good step for a firm? So, I don't know if you've heard about those things. We had some podcast who had a company called Get Staffed Up, and like I think they're overseas, and they, you could hire these people to work, and they can do a specific job function. Maybe that's an option for some of the firms.
Absolutely, there are a million great options today. We have Lawyer Line, which is our intake service. It is just exploding off the map. We're adding anywhere from 25 to 30 new law firms every single month. Wow. It's exploded. And they're all US, our folks are all US based. They're based here in the US. And we do an amazing job of intake for law firms that maybe, they don't have the resources. They're a home office solo, and they outsource. Maybe they have a contract paralegal that they work with, but they need someone to answer their phones. I have a ton of my coaching clients on our service, and it's been a game changer for them, to be sure. Yeah.
So is this a service that lawyer.com provides?
Yes, it's one of our offerings. So no, we've become a full service agency. We're not just lawyer.com. We do lead generation, where we match up consumers with lawyers. We have Lawyer Coach. We have Lawyer Business Builder. That's our live events program. We do reputation management.
Right.
We have live chat. So we become a full service offering entity ourselves.
Lawyer Line. That's amazing. So, like, what does it mean to be a law firm coach?
So it's the most fun that I can have. I mean, I learned it just through, in my prior life. For me personally, not that it's about me, but for me, it gives me such great satisfaction to come into a firm, say, hey, what was your revenue last year, and what do you want your revenue to be this year? Oftentimes they say, well, here's in 2021 I did 250. In 2022 I want to do 350, and then I just open the dialogue up with what's your plan to get to 350.
Right.
And inevitably, Benny, the answer is I'm going to work harder than I worked last year.
Right.
And that doesn't work.
Right.
It doesn't work. Right. So there are people, processes, and software in every single law firm that I do a deep dive into. And I help create documented processes. I help them vet potential new headcount to their firm, smart headcount that's going to help them grow and actually help generate revenue. And so I get to do a full evaluation of the firm, and I guarantee our coaching clients that if they stay with me for 12 months, we'll double the revenue.
Wow.
That's a guarantee. Yeah.
That's amazing. Do you have other coaches besides yourself?
We do. Yes, I've got a team that works, and but I do, because I can't get enough of it. I have a roster of coaching clients. You can imagine, I can probably handle about 30 law firms at a time from a coaching perspective.
And all over the country, right? So you're doing everything everywhere.
All over the country, yeah.
Right.
It's great.
How do you think, like, the COVID issue? So you were saying you like to go in person, and you think it makes a difference, and you have these live events. Like, and it seemed that they hired you, or you got the job, like you came in right after like the COVID was sort of at its peak. It's still out there, we all know, but
yeah.
So like, did COVID have anything to do with, like, hey, we want to like get back out there, like let's bring in Adam to
look? I'll tell you, people are, and I'm sure you've spoken with people that were hungry for 2 years to get back out on the road. They really, really were. It's the ideal time, I think, to start doing live events again, because
I agree.
People are hungry to get back out there. I'm sure you follow all the big events that are going on in legal. They're all back at it full force. People just can't wait to get back out there and see what's going on and interact with their peers. So for me, it was sort of the perfect timing, to be honest with you. I think COVID affected us dramatically. I didn't get on an airplane from January of 2020 until, I was almost 2 years. I
Yeah.
didn't even go to the airport. So,
Right.
and I do some substantial miles every year. So yeah, I think people are hungry to get back out there, and I'm sure you're seeing that social media. I'm sure you follow all the organizations. We're all getting back out there. We're all getting back out there for sure.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
So tell me what is a legal mastermind? Is that something that you all do?
Yeah. So legal mastermind, and I facilitated legal mastermind in my former employer for almost 6 years. It is a group of hyper-focused attorneys, and typically what we do with mastermind, at least we did at my last employer, they have a minimum of $1 million revenue and above.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a group that we got together 4 times a year, and they would get to select the cities, and we would facilitate the meetings. And there was some structure to the meetings. We'd have some very high level speakers come in, and $1 million law firm owner who's in a room with a $10 million law firm owner can learn a heck of a lot, right? Avoid the speed bumps or landmines that this $10 million owner probably went through. So it's an amazing way. And they build this sense of camaraderie at these events, at these quarterly meetings. And then there's a monthly checkup meeting.
Okay.
A Zoom that we do. And they all have goals. It's just like my coaching clients. They have goals, documented goals. And at every mastermind meeting, they are put in the hot seat for 2 hours, and they have to do a presentation about their firm. This is what happened. These were my goals. This is how I did. And it's sort of a stair step to helping them get up to that 10 million plus level, whatever they want to do.
How many people are in the mastermind at once, would you say?
So after the groups I facilitated in my former group, they were about 12 to 14.
Okay.
But I know, there are groups that do nothing but masterminds, and they'll do maybe a mass meeting with 200 or 300 attendees, and then they break out into their individual groups.
Gotcha.
With a facilitator for each group, sort of push and poke and prod, and tell them their baby's ugly and has to be fixed. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Adam, did you ever think about going to law school?
No, and I did for 5 minutes, and then
5 minutes. Okay.
Then when I was an undergrad, and then it took me. I was an undergrad, and I was so ready to graduate. I was tired of being burdened with being broke. I did consider, and I did prep for the LSAT for a little bit.
Okay.
Then the best of all worlds, I ended up marrying a lawyer. She's been practicing for 20 years.
That's awesome.
Win-win, right? Win-win.
Amazing. I love it. Yep. That's perfect.
We've been married for 20 years, so I get to live the life without having to do the work. I get to have fun.
Congratulations. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So there are 10 elements to a perfect call, right?
Right.
Can you give us a few of those? I know we're going back sort of to what we already discussed, but
no, for sure. So the things that I listen for, and you would be surprised, the legal industry is the only industry where a person answers the phone and says law firm.
Okay.
I don't know if you've called a lot of law firms, but I'll tell you, 50% of them will say law firm. It's the only industry where that happens. You don't call it chiropractor.
That sounds like something from like the 50 years ago, maybe.
No. It happens today in more than half the instances. They don't even answer with the firm name.
Okay.
Right? So it starts off going down that direction, right?
Okay.
So, and then the basics are gather basic information. First name, last name, email address are must-haves. Phone number in case you get disconnected. You can score a 50 on a just by being a basic decent receptionist.
Right.
A 50 out the door. Then it gets a little more challenging, right? Ask them what happened, what their situation is. Offer them some empathy. Offer them a unique competitive advantage, which essentially answers the question, why should that prospect hire your firm? Okay. Unique competitive advantages are differentiators in a very, very crowded field of competitors. And unfortunately, in a very commoditized business. You've got to say, hey, you've called I'm really sorry to hear you're going through this, but let me tell you, you've called the right place.
Right.
Our attorney has represented 3,000 people just like you. He or she is board certified by the state of California in family law, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When can you come in?
Yeah. Well, I definitely think
just simple.
I definitely think having a dedicated intake team is the best possible way to go. I think that's super smart.
Agreed.
So tell us. So if we go to the lawyer.com website without looking at it, without bringing it up, like what are we going to see? Like tell us the options again at lawyer.com.
You're going to see an amazing array of our goal is to become a full service white glove organization for law firms and consumers. You know, it's again, having the lawyer.com domain, as we do get a serious volume of consumer calls, and our job is to primarily, and initially we were set up, it's almost like a dating service. We want to match an appropriate prospect, someone who's got a problem, with a lawyer in their geography who's interested in taking their case.
Okay.
So that's one thing that we
That's
that's our start.
Okay,
It's huge.
gotcha.
It's huge. It's, you know, we have thousands of law firms who are members of lawyer.com family.
Okay.
And then we have lawyer coaching for that law firm owner that wants to take their firm to the next level. Either they've had plateauing revenue or they've been stuck in a rut and they don't know why.
So
right?
let me ask,
Mhm.
if you're a member of lawyer.com, do you get, and you're on there and you're trying to connect the consumer to the lawyer, do you get some of those other benefits, like for a discount or like the coaching and those sort of things?
Absolutely. If you're a lawyer.com premium member, you receive you have access to me and to our entire team all the time.
Good.
It could be a coaching issue. It could be, hey, reputation management, because we all know how critical Google reviews are. It could be, hey, why don't you come to one of our live events next year? We'll teach you the latest and greatest. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, we're going to give you the tools to do that. And so we are just a full service entity right now and growing, and it's just so much fun. It's just so much fun.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think when you have, you know, a domain like lawyer.com, it's so important to do multiple things, because I think they're, you know, trying to just not only, I mean, look, I'm just speculating. Like, instead of just having like, let's connect the lawyer to the client, like let's offer all of these other things. I think that's a super smart way to approach everything.
The leadership at lawyer.com is just brilliant and innovative and just so far ahead of the game in so many ways. And they're just like, look, we're going to surround ourselves with really smart, talented, experienced people and bring them in and make this amazing organization and help out our not only law firm owners and lawyers, we're going to help consumers find a match with an attorney who will really has the tools that we've provided them, you know, how to get good intake, or they're using our lawyer line service and getting that first best in class white glove intake service that they pay for. We're going to help them build their businesses. I mean, I think that there's nothing more fulfilling for me at this point in my career to be a part of that.
Oh, that's amazing. That's terrific.
Yeah, it's great.
And you seem like you know, a happy, satisfied person. So I think, you know, I get that vibe, and I think that that's incredible. So
passion is something that you can't teach, right? You either have it or you don't. And I love working in the legal space. I love law firm owners. I love talking to paralegals and intake people. The business is, none of them are the same. They're all different, right? They all have different challenges. And so I love just kind of peeling back the layers and doing what I do. And I love, you know, our live events next year are going to be mind blowing. They're going to be so
good.
great.
And you want to see people do well. You want to see people improve.
Absolutely.
That really is what it's all about too, right? I mean,
100%.
So
100%.
That's incredible. So what's your vision for lawyer.com as you sort of proceed to the future?
Yeah. So we're going to build up our lawyer line business is growing by leaps and bounds. It's incredible. We want to be able to retain more of our the clients that we're doing lead generation for on that lawyer.com side of things. So we're offering other value added services to do that. So our lawyer line business is exploding. The live event business is going to be an amazing opportunity for us to share the love and do some education.
Where's the next one? Do you have one planned yet, Adam?
Yeah. So the next one, the first one for 2023 is in Las Vegas at Fabulous Four Seasons.
Wow.
We always use great destination resorts, amazing food, first class accommodations. We have discounted room blocks for our attendees. and we offer everybody an early bird discount seat. So that first one is in Las Vegas. In February, we'll be in Miami, and in March we'll be in Dallas. So we do a full countrywide rotation. We'll be in Atlanta this year. We'll be in Chicago. We'll be in LA twice. We'll do Vegas 2 or 3 times because lawyers love Vegas. I can't imagine why. But yeah, so we do that. So that business is taking off for us next year. And my eventual goal is to be able to do multiple live boot camps, maybe one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast per month. I'd love to.
So have you done has lawyer.com done the conferences before, or is this the first time?
This is the first time.
Wow. Okay.
We've always gone to conferences as attendees, and we always go to all the big shows as a sponsor.
Okay.
But this is the first time that we're going to be going to the market with our own live boot camps. We built the business up enough now where we have enough membership to pull from, and goodness, we sent out an email last day about Vegas. I had 40 phone calls today.
Yeah.
About firms wanting to know about pricing. When is it? Do I get food? Is it CLE? All of those things. To me, those are great signs. And again, it just goes back to people are hungry to get out on the road again.
Yeah.
And get out of their office.
That's exciting, man. You're doing all this stuff with lawyer.com. You're going to have like these huge conferences. Like, that's really cool. I'm super
amazing.
To you, man. That's
thank
great.
you so much. And you're more than welcome. Any you ever want to come, just give me a call.
Oh, we'll stay in touch. We're definitely going to stay in touch for sure.
I love it. Yeah, you come to any one of our events on me.
Thank you so much.
Take care of you.
Thank you. And we have a nice community, man. I don't know if you've checked us out on Instagram, Lawyer Stories, and
sure.
We have a Facebook presence. We're building LinkedIn, and we have a good podcast here. Obviously, we have
love it.
So like we definitely want to stay in touch with lawyer.com. So like, is there anything else that we missed today that you want to talk about? Any advice? Anything about lawyer.com that you want to share?
I think that, there's a couple things. So one, I'd like to offer, and I really appreciate you having me. It's been a blast. I love doing this stuff, but
for sure,
I'd like to offer all your listeners, if they reach out directly to me, do a complimentary secret shopper phone call or their firm if they want to hear how their intake is doing. That's a pay service that we usually offer. But for all your listeners who reach out directly to me, say, hey, I heard you on Lawyer Stories. I will personally do a secret shopper phone call with their firm and give them a report card to let them know how they're doing. And the other thing, all of your listeners, I'd like to offer all of them a special price to any one of our 12 live events next year, our business builder events. I'll offer them a discounted rate. Regular pricing for the event is $997. But for any of your listeners who would like to attend and contact me directly, I will set them up for $497. And that pays for all their food, all their drink, their workbook, the whole kit and caboodle. They just have to travel and get there. We have room blocks at all of our events. So it's a very, very affordable way. And you get to write it off and spend a couple days out of your office.
That's so is that a 2-night thing?
Yeah. So our events are always Fridays and Saturdays. So for example, our folks, our team will fly in, we fly in Thursday. Attendees will too, because we start Friday morning at breakfast with an amazing breakfast. And then that includes breakfast, lunch, and then a happy hour on Friday for about an hour and a half. And then Saturday, we're done by mid-afternoon. So a lot of folks stay in our destination cities or resorts through the weekend. Have a nice time and download all the information. It's like drinking from a fire hose for 2 days. So be able to digest all that and have a nice time.
And we can, and we know we're just putting it out there on the podcast. We can definitely, talk about that offline, and
for sure.
And actually like offer that to the community in some way.
Absolutely.
We do like emails, and we have a nice email list, and we have we have a terrific community, but we'll definitely be talking about that. Love what you're doing. I love your, I think you have a great passion for it. It's super
I appreciate
cool.
it.
I don't want to end it without making sure that you have you've stated everything that you want about lawyer.com, about yourself, about your background.
Yeah, no. So I think the one takeaway that I always like to share is I always think about some of the greatest athletes that because I'm a sports guy, right?
Me too.
Right? You too, right? Right? Tom Brady, right? Tiger Woods, right? Greatest athletes of our generation. You go down a list. Every single one of them have been surrounded by mentors and coaches.
Yeah.
Right. So they didn't get great on their own. They got great because they had coaches who stood behind them and poked them and prodded them to be the best.
Right.
Have its internal drive, but a coach is somebody that I think every single law firm owner should invest in. And the other takeaway is, it's one thing to invest in a business coach. It's another thing to invest in a coach who knows the legal space. So my words of advice, and I'm not saying hire me, I'm saying I'll happily talk to you about it.
Yeah.
But the legal industry is a unique animal. And every law firm is an organization, evolving organism. And so many times I've coached law firms and they said, well, I used to have this business coach, but he didn't really get what I did. Or she didn't really get what I did. And it's because they just don't know legal. They don't understand the nuances. So my word of advice is, look, Tiger Woods wouldn't hire Bill Belichick to teach him how to hit a 9-iron, right?
Right, that's right.
And the same is true for coaching. If you're going to hire a coach, hire someone with experience in legal. So that's really a great takeaway today. And I think everyone can afford, from a solo, just taking the bar attorney, to someone with a 50 lawyer firm can learn from an experienced legal coach.
For sure. Thanks so much, Adam, for that. For that advice. Stay right there. Everybody listening, we appreciate you tuning in as always. And wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves.